Hello guys, today I'm here with Leigh, Maynarde, Mandalov, our beloved Starcraft commentator and caster. Very welcome to you. Thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet you.
Equally, thanks so much. So I think for most of the people watching this, you don't need a big introduction. I think many of us saw you at least at the last IEM, but also obviously over the couple of years that since StarCraft is going on. Um,
I've been to a few things.
you can say that, yeah. And it's getting more and
hmm
more over the last years, eh?
Yeah, I hope so. I changed my life around to make sure that I could go to more things as well. So, yeah.
So um, I find that very interesting. So you, for me at least, as a fan and outsider, I think 5 years ago or so, I saw you the first time casting, and I was a bit surprised to see a new face because at that time I felt there's an established group of casters that we get to see at all events, and they keep flying around the world. I was happy to see a new face and hear a new voice also. Um,
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was too. uh,
yeah,
but uh, but I mean, that whole 5 years ago or so, I don't know which event you were watching or when you first heard me or anything like that, but
mm,
there was a stigma called the Old Boys Club, which is how they described the crew that always seemed to be at every single tournament. And a lot of them still are, but they're honestly like it was something that the community thinks that's absolutely not true. Like they are more than happy to have new people on, and especially in this day and age where StarCraft 2 is not as new as it used to be. Having new talent is really really good and really really fresh, and they've been doing that for a while now. They've been having myself, Fear Dragon, Wardy, of course,
mm,
was his first ever international event, was in
yes,
Shanghai as well.
yeah. I
Well,
was.
first premier, I should say.
Mm,
He's done others, but yeah.
mm. Yeah, no, I'm also I was happy to see them at Shanghai. I mean, you are after 5 years, you are obviously not fresh and new blood anymore. I mean, you are.
No,
Uh,
yeah, I actually when I could definitely see the difference between like when I was announced on caster rosters years ago and today. If I get on a roster today, people are usually like, it's the same old crew.
exactly. So I think,
Yeah, but yeah,
yeah, and
which is
also,
good and bad.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I was already also happy to see Fear Dragon and Vardy now. Um,
Me too.
so I think it makes it more interesting to us as viewers also. But also, because you're already around a couple of years now, I'm curious about your nickname, Maynard. I mean, obviously from Tool, the singer.
That's
Um,
right. Yep.
it's a reference, it's a reference
Yeah,
to.
it's. I mean, the story behind my name, I've told it a few times, but not
Mhm.
like to a large group of people. But basically, the story behind my name is really quite simple. It's not interesting at all. I was playing games back in the very early 2000s, and I was listening to a lot of Tool at the time and a lot of A Perfect Circle. And that guy is my favorite singer, and he still is. He's
Yes.
maybe not my favorite right now, but he's top three. And
Mm.
he's like, and he was a pretty huge inspiration to me vocally because I was, trying to be a singer as well in a
Mm.
band, and um, and I wanted to be his name, but in the game that I was playing, his name was already taken, so I
Mm.
added an E at the end, and that's the story of my name. And I liked it to the point where I just have kept it since. I've had it for 15 years, maybe
Mm.
14, 15 years.
Very long time. Have you ever considered changing
Mm.
it?
No, no, I haven't.
Still
I don't
happy?
know why.
Mm.
I can't be bothered. I think
Mm.
there's no point to it. I don't see a
Mhm.
yeah. I'm a practical kind of maths kind of person. You know what I mean? Like if I go to do something and it doesn't make sense, then I won't do it, even if I feel like it.
I hear you. So,
Mm.
and I mean, it's a pretty catchy name still. And with
Yeah,
that,
I mean, people seem to like it, and
mm,
and everyone knows me by it. So why would I change?
are you still part of a band and singing?
No, no. We broke up in 2006.
Ah,
Around about then. Yeah.
I mean, still a good story, I think. And I'm smiling like that because I think everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people, at least me also, tried to have a band and then failed at some point or broke
Yeah.
up. So
Yeah.
it's a proper
Yep.
thing
Same
to do.
story.
Yeah.
Proper thing to do. Actually, no. We released an album in 2006, but we actually didn't break up till probably 2008. I think it's
Okay.
about. But we yeah, we weren't popular like we. Well, not. I mean, back in the day, our popularity was good for what we were, which was a band in my local region in a town that's not very big.
Mm.
But we weren't like making money.
But still, good experience. Um, so
Yeah.
uh, the other thing that I find very interesting about your background is that at least in the last interview I could find with you, very recently you still were working full time. So you're not working you were not working full time caster commentator. You were actually working in software, and if I got it right, even something in defense.
Yep, no, that's true. Yep, I was working for a contractor that primarily leases its contracts to its primary people, primarily clients are military, so Navy, Air Force, and Army were the primary clients, and I was a developer for them. Yeah,
Are you still at it? Are you still doing it?
only as a contractor, not full time anymore. I've
Okay.
gone back. I went there. I went back to my old company 2 or 3 times this year to do maybe a week or two's work here and there, but with a much more inflated rate
Yeah.
because I was a contractor and not full time. Yeah,
So that means you are a full time caster commentator at this point in time.
I'm trying to be. Yep,
Okay.
that's what I'm doing right at this moment. I am. Yeah,
Wow. Big step.
huge. Yeah, it was a very very hard decision. It was honestly a decision that took me about a year to pull the trigger on. I was thinking about it for a long time. I was talking about it for about 6 months seriously, and obviously wanting it since the beginning. It was only when I started to get the international gigs and make friends in the right places and that sort of thing where I thought that it was possible. And I'm so far so good, but I'm not ever going to be like, oh, okay, no, I'm fine and stop working. I put a lot of effort to make sure that I don't fade into obscurity, or I don't want to stop getting hired and that sort of thing, because then I will have to do something else, because I'm not I have to pay bills and live. I don't live with my parents. I haven't for a long time, so yeah.
No, man. I mean, that's. I understand that it's a big step because I think, especially the financial sustainability. If you get
Yeah, it's the biggest
older,
part of it.
yes. So it has to be there, and especially in this area or this industry of esports that you are going in now. I at least that's what I'm picking up. It's on the one hand the industry is growing and developing on many fronts, but obviously there's only so much space and room for casters and commentators. If
Yeah, and there's also a fair bit of volatility as well, where
mm,
people come and go depending on how. Like it's not just all. It's one of those industries where it's not just what you know, it's who you know. A lot like other industries.
mm,
And if you could be as simple. I'm not saying that this is the case in Starcraft 2, but there are definitely games out there and esports scenes out there where if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you're out of a job. You just won't get hired, and they won't tell you why. You just won't hear from anyone. You just won't hear from anyone anymore. That's just it.
so
So
now, oh man, now you're hinting at a lot of interesting stuff for me at least. So
I'm not going to name any. I'm not naming any
no,
names or
it's
naming
fine.
any game communities.
It's I'm
Yeah.
I'm not totally surprised by what you are hinting at, but yeah, it's that's what interests me actually. Your opinion on that, and in general, the one thing that, especially as somebody that came a bit later, where, like you said, the old boys club, this thinking of there is this circle of people that are close and It's not easy to get in there. On the other hand, so there is an industry, there is a structure, there's people paying money to other people, all that sort of thing. How do you see the industry at this point? Like, how do you perceive esports in general, but maybe especially Starcraft? Is it in a good space regarding that setup?
I would say that the industry on a whole is obviously, like you said, it's growing. I see a lot of games really exploding right now. There are games that are a massive question mark to me, like, for instance, Overwatch has a huge player base and seems to have a lot of money coming in, and they have a big league coming, but I don't understand how it's going to work and why it's going to work the way it does. For what I do know, like the teams being very, 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 very expensive to buy a franchise in, and how do they make the brand better when the game has a lot of problems with it? Personally, I find that it's very, very hard to watch. But there are obviously some commentators who do a really good job of casting it, and I have no idea how, but they do. Like I was watching the Overwatch League in not Overwatch League, but Overwatch World Cup in Sydney, because it was on in my time zone, and I was watching a friend of mine commentate, and he was really good. He's probably the best Australian commentator I've ever heard in my life, and he was doing a great job. His name's Uber, so I really enjoyed that. But other than him, like I've really struggled to find that to follow it as an esport, and I don't mean storylines. I mean just the game, like the gameplay, the plays, the decisions. Because heroes are changing every second. Ultimates going down. There's 12 people charging ultimates. It's a mess. Starcraft to me is the easiest esport to follow and enjoy. It's my favorite sport. It's not even my favorite esport. It's my favorite sport. I used to watch football. I used to watch soccer, tennis. And I still kind of do, but Starcraft is just much better to me. I like that. I like that better than any competition I've ever watched, televised or streamed. And as far as as esport goes, I think it's fantastic. I think it's the greatest thing in the whole world. But esports side, industry side, right now, I think that it's starting to move in a interesting direction where it's going, it seems to be moving from just being completely funded by Blizzard to being funded by microtransactions and community, which I think is going to give it longevity. And I really, really think that that's the right way to go. And I can see that there's a bit of growing pains. Like a lot of people have negative things to say about the war chest, which I'm sure you're aware of. Obviously. The war chest in StarCraft 2, which is fat in the prize purse for BlizzCon, which is great. But people are like, hang on, why isn't the rest of the money going to BlizzCon? And where are these operational costs that the war chest is meant to be funding? I don't see my money going towards now that the BlizzCon prize pool has been fulfilled, they've hit that 200,000, and I know that they're making way more than that. What incentive do people have to buy the war chest now that the prize pool has already reached the maximum? You know what I mean? They get the skins, sure. They get the comic, cool. But I would love, just as a side note, I would love to be able to see what number they're at right now and where it's going, or how much they're going to put towards what. Because I think that a little bit of transparency is really, really important. Valve is not the most transparent company in the whole world, but they're pretty good about their whole compendium thing for Dota, CS:GO skins, that sort of thing. They'll the information is out there if you want to get that information, and it incentivizes people to give that game money. And right now I can see StarCraft's getting more skins, it's getting announcer packs, it's getting co-op things, it's getting the missions or whatever. It's going down that microtransaction path, which I think is fantastic, and I hope that they do it really well. Because I've actually I've bought everything in StarCraft 2 because the game is tied to my not only is it my favorite thing in the whole world, but I want the game to succeed because I love the game. So I don't want to imagine a world where StarCraft isn't around. And I'm sure it will be. I can't imagine it ever going away. But I like to help where I can, put a sort of thing.
Thank you so much. You mentioned a lot of things. I mean, obviously, the one big thing that you were describing now, or is the question of the sustainability of the game, and obviously the sustainability of the esports side of it. How can we make the esports side of StarCraft go on for a long time? Because that is exciting. That is yeah, that is very. That's the one thing that we love about it. Transparency, that you said, microtransactions. Can you think of, or what is your idea regarding microtransactions? Maybe. Okay, you mentioned transparency, but any other ideas? What do you think is also important
I
regarding
think
that?
I think load the game up with enough microtransactions where it makes sense that you can actually just give it to people for free.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just do ranked ladder for free, and then they make their money from their announcer packs from the blah, blah, blah. Because the game is primarily since day one, 1998, when the StarCraft first came out, it was built as a story, as a single player game, and that's where all the money and development costs went for StarCraft 2. It had a very, very full on Hollywood style cinematics, everything storyline. And it was very, very well done production-wise. Like, it looked beautiful. It had orchestral scores, voice acting, it had pre-rendered cinematics, it had in-game rendered cinematics, engine cinematics, and it was great. I mean, it was a bit of a bubblegum Hollywood storyline that kind of it's not the most original story in the whole world, but it's it had a storyline, and it's built as a single-player experience. And the esports side of it was discovered by the community in Brood War and in StarCraft 2. They knew that they wanted it to be an esport, so they added to it. And I think that letting the I'm ranting again, but just to go back to make the esports side of it better, I think that I really know for a fact that the StarCraft 2 community and StarCraft 1 community, for that matter, like StarCraft in general, I'll just say StarCraft. The community for StarCraft is the most dedicated I've ever seen in any esport, and I watch a lot. So I have friends that stream those other esports as well. Everyone in StarCraft 2, when we Twitch stream, we all host each other. Everyone shares the viewers. Whenever we all subscribe to each other, if we are partnered, even if we're not, we will generally host someone just to give them the viewers. We'll never let the viewers go to waste. Whereas in Heroes, CS:GO, Hearthstone, no one hosts each other, which I found really weird when I got told that. It's such an easy thing to do, and it's really good for the community. StarCraft does that, and that's one small thing on Twitch. Another thing is the community throws so much money at the game, they just want an excuse to throw money at the game. You give them an excuse to throw money at the game, and they will. I got given $50 today just because I said something about. I was like, in China, I lost a few subscribers. That's all I said. And a guy gave me $50, which is, to a streamer, that's a lot of money. That's like, whoa, that's 10 people. That's 10 subscribers per month. That's, that's 2 tier 2, tier 3 subs or whatever. And there's subscribers on top of that. And there are people like most streams will have more subscribers than they'll have viewers, because people are just throwing money at those people. They want those people to have their money per month to keep doing what they're doing, to keep laddering, to keep playing the game, to keep casting. And also, Home Story Cup. They were like, hey guys, if we get to 25,000 euros, we've got a new Home Story Cup. Do you know what happened? They got 25,000 euros in what was it, 30 minutes?
30, I was watching
30 minutes?
it, yeah. 40, in total, they were doing it like 45 minutes, but it was really quick.
That's insane.
And I agree with you.
And that just goes to show me that if you open this community up, if you let the community, if you give the community ways to throw money at the game, holy shit, man, this game will be around forever. They love StarCraft 2 so much. I mean, part of the reason you see people get so heated and so upset about, some things in StarCraft 2 it's not because they're haters, it's because they care. They just want it to be around. Which is something that I try to remind myself when I see those people, because it annoys me. It annoys me to read, but I have to take a step back and realize that it's most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's coming out of a genuine place to just they want their game to last forever, just like I do.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you, and I think I was talking to Nurture the other day and did an interview with him, and he was also saying
King Arthur himself. I love the guy.
Yes, and he also said he is a bit sad sometimes, or he finds it difficult that the passion and the positivity of our community is being corrupted a lot of times. It's like an internet thing, and we had a bit of a discussion around that. And I like what you are mentioning, that I think our community in general is very passionate and positive about the game and wanting to support the game. And I mean,
there are some bad eggs. Go on, Simon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, obviously you will always find that all over the place, and I mean, there's a lot to be said about the racism, and at this point in time, today in beginning of August 2017, there's a big thing on Team Liquid about the Twitch chat against Scarlet and all that type of stuff. So I think there's a lot of negativity. Yeah, but what you're saying is, I think it's so important always to remember that. I mean, I'm doing this, for example, now with you out of love for the game, because I'm curious about your opinion, and exactly I think there's a lot of potential to keep the community but also the industry sustainable, because we want it to be sustainable and the players and the casters to be doing what they're doing. Let me just check quickly and take a short break here, and then we are back in a second.